Hey, this is Roger from Roger's Hot Rod Garage, and you guessed it, that's my 66 Stingray Corvette that I picked up about 2.5 months ago. So look, I cheated a little bit last night after I posted another video. I came back down here at about 10 o'clock at night. Don't tell anybody. Simply because I went ahead and hooked up power to this thing. And hold on. Let me pull my hood release right here. And show you that real quick. So there's my 327. There's the battery that I put in there, and you can see I got it disconnected right now because I didn't want a fire happening overnight while I'm sleeping because I just hooked this thing up. Anyway, that's in there. I've got my starter hooked up. I've got my purple wire hooked up. I went ahead and crimped off the pink line that runs down to the starter solenoid. That is for the bypass on what's called the ballast resistor. And I know I'm talking like 1950s, 60s technology, but since I got an HEI distributor in here and it requires a solid hot 12 to 14 volts, depending on whether you're charging or the battery's empty, that's what this thing is for. And again, you don't need to drop the voltage through the ballast resistor down to about 9 to 9.5 volts. But anyway, long story short, I've got power here. I've got power on the starter. I've got power running all the way over here. I've got power here, which is the back end of the alternator. I put myself some ground on here to make sure that I actually have ground because this is a fiberglass car, so you got to watch for that. You got to run a negative and a positive everywhere you do anything on this car that's bolted to the actual fiberglass on this thing, like lights, for example. And where I don't have power to is on the other side of these connectors right here. So I've got power right here to the red. But if I pull this connector off, that right back there, you see that? I'll hold it still for a second. That is actually the back end of the fuse block. And obviously, first known good, last known bad. If you've got power right here, and I don't have power on the inside, let me show you that. I do have my flashlight pre-positioned here. Hold on, oh, I gotta push the back of it. Then, there's the side of the fuse block right here. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the original fuse block that came with this car back in '66. Here's another thing that's kind of cool. If you look up in here, let me take the flashlight and pan around here. Everything is bone stock original. That is the original wiring harness. And what's cool about it, it ain't butchered. It's not butchered in any shape, form, or fashion. You can see my bird cage over here. If you look at this little switch right back here, see that? It's called a circuit breaker where those two big red lines go in. That is actually the circuit breaker, or yeah, the circuit breaker for the power lights. And those power lights are right here. So once you cut on the lights, you can flip those headlights here up and down and get them to spin around. Check out another thing over here. It's pretty cool. There is, right there, you see that? That is my electric antenna switch up and down. That's where they actually mounted that thing back in 1966. Another thing I got here, this is my odometer reset. That actually works. I just reset it. Vent, 66, the parking brake was here. 67, they went ahead and moved it right here to the center. Nothing new on that one. And check this out. I'm going to slowly put my camera up here. GoPro Hero 10 Black. 15,789 miles. Now, can I verify that? No. It might be 115,789 miles. I literally don't know, and I don't know how you can actually judge or tell that right now unless I have some records with it. I'm probably leaning more towards 115,789 miles. I don't think it's 200. Well, no, it wouldn't be that many because you see the 2 on there. So anyway, long story short on that one. Now look, the reason I think it only has 115,000 miles on it, or maybe even 15,000, look at the condition of this dashboard. It's immaculate. I mean, there's no scratches on it. It's not all torn up. There's no splicing of wiring in the fuse block. You saw that. This is the original AM/FM radio. I don't know if it works right now, but I'll find out in just a couple seconds once I get power to the inside of this car. I'll try to play with that a little bit tonight, but I can't guarantee it. Let me go ahead and cut this off right here and come on around here and show you a feature down here. All my wiring and everything, I went ahead and did that. So if I can get my little skinny hand down here and around here, actually I can probably show you from the top right there. So that right there is the top of my starter. I know that's all hooked up, and if you see, I got my little protective shielding on there. And then over here, I've got my protective shielding on going down to the fuel pump right here. That's the last video. But look, it's nice and clean up in here. I am going to try to hold my camera down up in here, and that's what the back end of that starter looks like right there. It's actually the solenoid sitting on top of that big fat GM starter down here. I probably should have put a little small mini torque starter in here, but since I had this one with it, I went ahead and threw that one on there. See how everything works. Let me come up here slowly again. Again, my battery's up in here, and this right here just requires me to put it on here. And there's no spark or anything right there, so it tells me I still have something in getting juice from here, this area, into the inside of the car, but it should be fairly simple to figure that one out. Anyway, so stay tuned right here. I might do a video tonight and just go ahead and clear one out here, because we're going to the Top Fuel drag racing next weekend in Hockenheim, Germany. So really there's Top Fuel drag racings going on, and that's where we'll be acting rowdy, having a good time. The picnic table is going to go down. The 30 Ford Coupe is going to go down there, and the 55 Nomad, and we actually have passes to go inside the actual Hockenheim ring for what's called the Hot Rod Special. And in case you ain't seen the 30 Ford Coupe, there it is right there. And there it is again with Cool Jeans. No, I don't have any tattoos, but that's a tattoo arm sock that one of my daughters gave me for Christmas about 5 or 6 years ago. Anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned. I'll add some content here in just a couple of seconds. All right, so moment of truth. 8 o'clock, the 19th of August 2024. Let me get this out the way with here. Now, it should be no guarantees here. Clutch, man, the clutches on this thing are heavy. Now, this is not a crank up video. I just want to see what I got power in here. Okay, I got light. Hold on just a second. It's dark in here. See that? I got light. All right. Cool. Horn? No, the horns aren't hooked up. Oh, but you can hear the relay. Listen to this. Listen to the relay. Okay, so the horns just have to be hooked up. The wire's not hooked up. Fuel. Let me check this out. So accessory. Let's see if this radio plays. No. Hey! Okay, let me cut that off real quick so I don't get a YouTube violation, but YouTube, if you're watching this, this was just for demonstration purposes. I got radio. Outstanding. Cool. Now for the big test, ignition on. Let me see if some of these lights turn on here. No lights whatsoever. Should have the little oil light and stuff in here. Water temperature shouldn't. Do I have battery? No, because I don't have I don't have anything hooked up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the test, I'm just going to touch it, bump, see if I got everything hooked up on the starter. Hold on. It cranks up. Hold on, I'm gonna give it one spin. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna play with it because I want to put the spark plugs in nice and tight. Now, I am pretty limber, but getting out of that damn thing right there is kind of hard. So, super stoked, super successful, and I'm gonna leave it on a high note today. This will be a short video, less than 10 minutes. I do actually have to take these spark plug wires because I got them doused with like penetrating oil. Just take them off, put the wires on yesterday, and then spin them in the rest of the way, and I might spin the motor. So that is a good news story here on a Tuesday here at Roger's Hot Rod Garage. So super, super cool. And that's it, man. I don't even know, words can't describe it right now. This thing is actually going to crank up, so sounds okay. But let me, this is not a crank up video, so don't think you're going to get that. I'll do that on the next video. this sucker will be cranked up and running. I got to add water to it, do a cursory check one more time to make sure I haven't missed something. Safety, I got to put the drive shaft in it, so I can't actually drive right now. That center drive shaft, the two outside axles are in, and I have to do one little bolt repair in the back of this thing that's way up underneath here. So, cool beans. That's it. Give me a second here. All right, Roger here from Roger's Hot Rod Garage, and I got my my little outfit on that I go to work with. So don't ask what I do for a living right now, but I'll tell you guys one day. But look, so what I call therapy after a long, not stressful day, but just very high operational tempo. Getting home about 7 o'clock. I've got everything unloaded right now, and wanted to share with you probably a success story here. So I have tomorrow off, which is Thursday. I'm guessing it's like the 22nd of August 2024, but I got this done a couple of nights ago and just wanted to share this with you in case I haven't done it already. So I did fix the fuse problem down there. I showed you in the last video, but check this out. So now if I turn the ignition to accessory here, I can hit this little. So that actually works right now. That's pretty cool. And if I turn over here, I can pick a couple other stations. So that's good news story. So that's one. What else works on this thing? So if I turn on the fan, that actually works too. And what's cool about this, these are kind of complicated switches. While that's on, you pull right here, that's your heat, and so forth. I didn't know all that until I started playing around with it the other day. A couple other things work. If I go down here to the wiper, so the wiper works. So if you turn this right here, and all you interesting folks, I went ahead and sprayed some Windex on here, but check this out, that actually works too. You spray Windex on to make it lubricated so it doesn't scratch up the windshield, but this windshield is actually in pretty good condition. The lights actually work. I gotta go way down here to show you that. So of course the lights outside don't work, but I meant the instrument clusters. Let me turn this off right now. And then if I turn over here, this is the big one. Push the clutch down here and then turn it. So that actually works right now. Of course, I don't have 12 volts hooked up to the HEI distributor right now. That's pink cable I got. But I'll do that maybe tomorrow, but my priority tomorrow is to load the picnic table and get everything ready for the drag races that are happening in about 48 hours down in Hockenheim. You'll see that video too. Maybe you'll see that video before you see this video. All right, very, very little restriction. That's it. This thing's gonna go in a couple of seconds now. Wrong one. Two more of these fancy dancy nice ones here. Let's see, there's one right there, and that one might be a little bit too large, but I'll take this one with just for shits and giggles. I'm gonna make a pretty good effort here. So check this out. If you've got two wires running right here, these are pink wires right here. If you've got two of them, one of them comes from the solenoid and is meant for bypassing the ballast resistor right here when you get power to it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually just figure out which one of these actually has power on it. First I gotta cut the ignition on. Hold on, let me reach up in here. Just the ignition. Ignition on. Not the start function, but just the ignition. Oh, this is hard to do with one hand, people. Nothing there. And see, I got power there. See that light? So this one right here is the one that actually comes from the ignition switch, and that one runs down to the solenoid and it gets 12 volts directly to this. But I'm going to cut this one off. There's no power to it anyway. There never will be because I don't have it connected on the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and factor out this ballast resistor so this doesn't get 9.5 or maybe 10 volts. It's going to get a solid 12 volts by bypassing this one here. I'm not going to bypass it. I'm just going to cut it and splice it together and solder it. So I got this wire cleaned off. I use a little paint thinner and get all that crap off of there. Sometimes a little bit of overspray on there from the black when somebody sprays black up in here. But anyway, I'm not going to show you this little technique I use right now, but here we go. Right here. So that's the one that's going to go on the bottom of the terminal. And if that one falls off, you got no power to your HEI distributor. Anyway, so what I do is I take these and I actually take that little blue stuff off of there, the protector. I solder these, I crush them, I solder them, I run heat shrink on them, and that way Bob's your uncle and that stuff will never come off of there. All right, here we go. So I've got this thing all cleaned up right now, and it comes off of this wiring harness right here, goes right down here and just plugs into the bottom where it says battery on here, which isn't really true. It should be 12 volts ignition is what you're looking for. But look, I've got this thing crimped, soldered, and 2 layers of heat shrink on there. So it looks a hell of a lot better than you throwing a little bit of electrical tape on there, which looks kind of shady if you ask me. But look, let me move down here and show you this ballast resistor right here. Again, the function of this thing is go from about 12.5 or 13 volts down to about 9.5 volts so you don't burn up the condenser. But since I'm running an HEI, electronic ignition right now, the module sitting right up in here is looking for a solid 12.5 to 13.8 volts. Now, if you leave this in here, the consequences of leaving it in here is that ignition module sitting up in here is only going to see about 9.5. And the consequences of that is you're probably not going to get a nice hot spark, and this coil sitting up top here can't do its full capacity, which is about 50,000 volts on these HEI. So basically, if you're running modern ignitions like I am right here, and I converted to it, take your ballast resistor out or just bypass this pink cable to this pink cable right down here. And I'm going to actually just completely take this out, clean it up, solder it, and then run some heat shrink over top of it and make it professional looking. And let me cruise to the other side over here. And I went ahead and added that that fuel filter up in here. I've got it orientated correctly. There's my arrow pointing up, and that way I'm not sucking all the crap that's in the gas tank. I've cleaned it out, or the stuff that's in the line. And thanks whoever put that in the comments in the last video. That's actually a pretty good tip right there. But look folks, I'm getting ready to maybe crank this thing up. Let me see how far I can get along with this thing. I've got the Nomad cleaned up for the drag races. I got my gas in there. We're ready to go. And the coupe right here is also going to go down to the drag races, not the drag races. You break crap when you drag race. But I've got, this is where I welded in this roof like 16 years ago. So I got myself some of that fiberglass filler. I'm not complaining because this thing actually lasted 16 years, and you can start seeing where my line was in here. So I dug all that crap out of there and then put some of that fiberglass Bondo up in here, and I'll sand it down and put a couple layers on there, and then again I'll flat black my street rod and not rat rod, and then we'll be done for the day. Hey, check this out. In case you don't know what soldering paste is all about, on these old cars, and this looks like the original wiring harness, if you're having a hard time that copper cable that's 50, 55, 60 years old accepting solder, what you gotta do is you gotta rub this solder paste on here, which frankly I don't know what the hell it's made out of, but I've had this one right here for probably 20 or 30 years. You take a little brush, you dip on wherever you're trying. If it doesn't take it, and this thing will now accept solder. I don't know why, but that's just a fact right there. I use distilled water here. If you're a Chevy lover, then everybody's got their little specialty tools here. It's right there. So it's a 9/16 stubby. I know that Home Depot and Harbor Freight and everybody sells these things, but this is what your stubby's for. I don't want this loose right here. See how you can actually turn that? You just want to put a little bit of pressure on that thing. Just a second here. Man, that thing's way down in there, but you can actually get a hold of it just enough so, yeah, there you go, that's better. So that you can adjust the timing a little bit, because it's going to be a little bit of backfiring when I first crank this thing up. I don't know, I might just get it exactly straight the first time, but I doubt it. Kind of feel like I'm rushing this a little bit, but I'm not. But every time I look in here I find something else. So that bolt on the top of the water pump here, that's a short one, was missing. So I'm gonna go turn that one in right there. I think I should be good to go. It's a, am I turning it the right way? Yeah. Just a whole lot of crud up in there. Get all that crap out of there. Get a little parts cleaner. All right, so that's only about a 7-minute delay right there, but a little honk on that. Okay, so now let me find out what else is going to hold up me starting up this thing. I think that should be about it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm not trying to build up suspense here, but I think I've mentally went through everything I have to check here. Distributors in, I rechecked the firing order one more time. I've got the cables kind of tie wrapped up just kind of temporarily so they're not touching these stainless steel headers. And look, there's absolutely no fuel in my brand new fuel filter here. And I'll talk to you in a minute about that. So carburetor's on, everything's bolted down. I got that one bolt over there. I actually went ahead and sprayed some water from the water hose right over there, see it? Down below here because I don't want flames catching the carpet on fire that I have on the driveway down here. And the reason I've got the carpet down here, the last thing I want is to blow crap all in these water absorbent bricks that have been here for a long time. So I try to keep this area fairly clean. I've got my water on standby here, not to extinguish a fire, but to backfill this right here because I can't put any more in. I'm sure this thing, as soon as this thermostat opens up right here, it's going to start sucking water up in here. I've got oil pressure, I already checked that. Obviously that means I got oil in the car. And just for shits and giggles, let me shorten the path that I have to run for the fire extinguisher. There it is, and I think that's about it. Now what I wanted to talk to you about is the word integrity. I know you got this will it start crap, and I can tell you right now, I can easily edit this out, but this is literally the first time I'm going to attempt to start this thing in 10 years. Again, I've only had it about 2 months, but the previous owner, I knew it was off the road for like 10 years right now. So I got my cheater can back here. There's my gas can. I got running directly into the line back there. And that's about it. Now I just got to find somebody to turn that ignition key right in there. Or I might try to do that myself, but I want to be out here so I can turn the distributor. So I got to wait for the first neighbor kid to walk by here, and I'm going to grab him with a bag of Doritos or something, tell him just to turn the ignition on and off. Anyway, here we go. Hey, perfect timing here. The neighbor lady sitting right up there just came outside with her tea and romance novel, and it's time to crank up the 327 high performance with open headers for the first time in 10 years. Stay tuned. Right, I found the neighbor kid, so check this out. I'm gonna have to turn this engine over probably like about 2 or 3 minutes to get fuel sucked all the way from the back of the gas tank through the lines in here. So the way you prevent that is you get yourself a little cheater can right here, and you put yourself a little gas up in here. Now if you noticed, my 12 volts isn't hooked up right here because I basically forgot to do that. So what it is, I unscrewed these 3 bolts right here and turned it to a hot condition. That means you live in a hot climate. So the choke is already opened up right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to close it manually with my hand just a little bit and get this 327 cranked up. So basically I have to tell the young ladies in here to turn the ignition on, turn it off, start it, but they're going to be the ones running the ignition switch on the inside of the car. So here we go, folks. Okay. Go ahead. Stop. Okay. Go ahead. Stop. Let's see. I'm gonna go a little bit retard timing. Go ahead. Stop. All right. Try it. Go. All right. Hey. So I'm not giving up right now. I just don't have any time right now to methodically troubleshoot this. It's not a major issue because I put my finger on every single one of these. They're all firing, so they're all getting hot. I think I might be off one spark plug wire here, and that's happened to me before. It's not a big deal. I just gotta think about it clearly, and then take the cap off and then move this one here, this one there, this one there. I think that's what the case is, but again, I don't want to rush it right now. I know my spark plugs are good, the wires are good, I just made those. And again, I just got other things to do right now, so that's about it. Thanks for watching.